What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm just going to get into it. We don't need to waste any more time. We're looking at the 1 hour time frame. This is going to be a short-term analysis for Bitcoin over the coming days. What to expect with this pullback that we're seeing now. Is there more to come? Is it done? All those questions will be answered and more. I want to talk about where I see the price being by the end of this month, by the end of the year, and even by the end of January. So if that sounds good to you, hit that like button, stay tuned, and let's get into it. So on a 1 hour basis, it does appear to me that we are in this kind of like downtrend in the RSI. We're at the top of it now. It seems like we would move down probably to the oversold zone, which would mean that I would assume, being that this is the 1 hour time frame, we would see the bottom of this correction come in today. Right, and the strongest part of it would probably happen today too. So this move down, nothing. This move down, nothing. The big move, it's going to happen. It'll probably happen today. I bet it does take us either below 96K but above 90K. At the lowest, I think we could go to 89K, but very, very high 89, like just below 90K. So that would be the lowest kind of price action that I would see. If we look at the shelf that we had right here, from a high closing perspective there, that's at 95K itself. If we take this low to this high right here, our 200 levels right there, our 1618 is at 95.7K right at that low. There's a lot of support coming in here. But again, if we break this area, if we break that 96 to 95K area, we don't hold it as support. We'll likely find support down here at around like 90K to 89K, probably really close to that 90K area, okay? But the 1 hour does look like it wants to go down, at least from the RSI perspective alone. If we look at the price action, you can see it does look like we had these higher lows coming in, right? And then you broke out of that. And it looks like what we did, we back tested here for resistance. We found resistance right at our previous areas of support and at previous areas of resistance, right? The volume actually doesn't look bad, but volume building and you're not doing anything with it would suggest that you take a break. It makes sense we're taking a break now. Finding resistance at previous areas of support is pretty common whenever you're in a downtrend, and I think you are in a momentary downtrend. We have lower highs, we have lower lows. I think we're about to go down and form our next lower low, which again I think will be anywhere between about 96 to 95. I mean, really 96 to 90K, but I'm accepting of the idea that we might not even see 90K. Too many people, you guys, too many people are hoping and praying that they'll get a chance to buy Bitcoin at cheaper prices. I've been saying every single time that I make a video, every single day, right, since I mean, this time over here and since, I've been saying, if you have money on the sidelines, get into crypto. It's a great time to get into crypto right now. Do not wait for the pullback. If it does pull back, it's going to be insignificant to the amount of growth that it will see. And that remains true now. Even if you do buy here, even if it does pull back, that pullback's going to not mean anything compared to the amount of growing it has to do by the end of this year and by the end of this month, right? So let's talk about that. Where do I see this thing going by the end of this month? And actually, first I want to look at the 4 hour RSI. The 4 hour does look like it's kind of rolling over, like it could go lower, right? It could go a little bit lower. We found support on the 50 a couple times. You could even go down to the 40. It's totally fine. I would think you do. Time will tell. I wonder real quick. Hold on. High to low there. I like that 95 to 96K area, but if that doesn't hold, it probably will be around 90K that you go to, or somewhere in between, right? But on a daily perspective, maybe a weekly perspective is the one to go to. I expect that we will see the Bitcoin price by the end of November at prices around 105,000 to 123,000, right? It depends on how long this consolidation lasts for, right? If we move down, and I would expect that either today or tomorrow we see this low come into effect, right? I doubt that we move down, that we have more than 2 red days in a row, right? That could have been it, if not today, and then we bounce. If today closes red, maybe the next day we find a low, but I don't expect more than 2 red days in a row. I do think that we'll start moving up here pretty soon. But just like here, we only had 2 red days in a row at the most. We had 1 red day in a row the times before that, not in a row, just 1 day standing alone. We still consolidated for a little bit of time. Even though we didn't have 7 consecutive red days, we did have basically a week where we just moved sideways. We didn't continue to grow over that time. So is that what we're seeing now? Could we be doing that same thing? Just because we don't move down for the next 7 days doesn't mean that we're going to move down and then we're moving up for the next 7 days. We could consolidate for a little bit of time here. I am curious to see what happens, right? The longer we consolidate here, the lower we will be by the end of the month. If we do find our low, if we've already found our low, or we find it today or tomorrow, and then we do start moving up rather immediately, we could see a lot higher targets by the end of the month. So if we consolidate, the area that I expect we're at by the end of the month would be about 106 to 105,000. If we don't consolidate like we did this time, and we just kind of see a quick little drawback and then a nice move up rather immediately, we could see prices as high as like 110, 115, even $125,000 by the end of this month, which I know sounds crazy, but take it from the guy that makes crazy calls, man. It happens. It really happens, right? Yeah, nobody thought that we were going to be at 100K back here, right? But the TA suggested, the charts suggested that we would be at 100,000 or more, likely more, by the end of the month. So I'm still holding to that. I really do believe that we'll see 100K by the end of this month. If we're looking at the monthly time frame, 6 days, 20 hours left, it's inevitable, right? It really is inevitable. If we look at this on a monthly perspective, something else to kind of take into consideration is that anytime we've broken our pre-halving high, right? Here's your halving. Your halving happened, the very first one, November 2012. You break your pre-halving high, okay? Come on now. You break this high on this month, okay? I'm just going to take it from the month before because this month, that counts as 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, right? You continued moving up for 11 months there, and out of those 11 months, only 2 of them were red. One of them was pretty neutral, but 2 of them were red, right? So out of that 11-month period, 9 of them were green. That's what you had. After you broke out of your pre-halving high, 9 out of the 11 months were green. We keep going, right? Your next halving was in July 2016, July 9th. You broke above this high here on this month, okay? So we'll put it back there so we get the 1 month there count. You had 13 months instead of 11 months after you broke that halving high, that pre-halving high. And of that time, you only had 1, 2, 3 red months. So 3 out of 13 months are red, 10 of them are green. The very next cycle, here's your pre-halving high. You broke out of it this month, so 1 month there. The end of your cycle was here, 7 months. You did have your all-time high come in 14 months later. But I think it's fair to say that the end of your cycle was this. That was 7 months. Of this 7 months, only 1 was red. It was the very last one, right? This month was red, but that doesn't count in your 7, right? That's not you didn't break out of your pre-halving high on that month. So only 1 was red. Essentially, all I'm getting at is whatever you want to count, even if you were to count the 14, right? You've got 1, 2, 3 that are red, 4 out of 14 that are red. Even if you wanted to do that, it's very obvious. What I'm getting at is that the majority of months, a large majority of them, will be green. We're going to see a lot of upside. So it doesn't stop here. Whenever we close the month above 100K, it doesn't stop there, right? These months too, they don't normally come consecutively, right? It's like 1 red month, then a green month, then a red month, then multiple green months. You don't get multiple red months in a row in a bull cycle, except for here, right? But then this is a pretty fantastic bull cycle in itself, right? I would take 2 red months if it meant that after those 2 red months we moved up 18x, 19x. I would take it. But the main reason I'm going over that is to say this is the first month breaking above our pre-halving high. This is the first month. We've seen anything from 7 months. We've seen 7 months to 13 months, or maybe 14 months if you want to count this. But from that kind of perspective, 7 months would at least put us out to May of 2025. Okay. 13 months would take us to November of 2025, and we could go anywhere in between. I am leaning toward that second half. That's when we would top off. I didn't mean to go here, but I guess I'm reminiscent of my last Bitcoin video. But just another perspective there, right? I do believe the reason why I'm going over that really is that, yes, we will close the end of this month of November above 100,000, but I don't think it stops there. I think we do continue to move up higher, and if we take this all-time high to low perspective, previous all-time high to low perspective, I really do believe that by the end of the year, we could see prices at about 130K to potentially as high as 173K, or more likely somewhere in between. And why I like that somewhere in between is because if you take the high to low here, your 2618 is right there in the middle of this extension here. We tore through The reason why I'm signaling for the 2618 there is because we tore through this golden ratio, okay? I don't know everything about technical analysis. I've been doing this for 8 years, but what I do know, what is my profession in the technical analysis realm of expertise, is the Fibonacci retracement and extension tools. This is what I started with. This is what I'll die with. This is the bread and butter for my analysis, right? Whenever you break through any golden ratio like this, like whenever you break through it like butter, right? Here, you didn't. You found resistance, and then you finally came up through it. But when you break through one like butter, you tend to not stop until you see that next one. Like you literally tend, or at least the next zone. And the next zone after the 1618 would be anything from technically the 1886 to the 2618. So this 141 does come into the onto the table. I don't know if we'll be there by the end of this year, but by the end of this move, I certainly would expect that we're there. And this move would likely end, I think, in the beginning of January. We'll probably see a little consolidation in the beginning of January and then continue moving up until April, where we will see a longer phase of consolidation. That's kind of the roadmap I have planned out for now. So to just summarize all of this, to make it all neat and pretty, I think by the end of this month, Bitcoin itself will be between these target areas, between 105, I'll delete all this stuff, I know it's messy, 105 to 123K. That's where I think it'll be by the end of November. Very, very short amount of time, a lot of price to go still, but that's what I'm expecting, okay? At this point, it is looking like we'll be closer to this, but that 123 should not be taken off the table. I do think that we could rip, man. We really could over the next week. It just depends on what happens. By the end of the year, so that's by the end of the month of November. By the end of the year, I'm expecting we'd be at anything from 123 to 141, maybe higher, but I think this is my personal area of expectations by the end of the year, okay? And then by the end of this move, by the end of the move, I would think that we are either at 140 to 173, somewhere in there, right? And that would likely be January. By the end of January, we'd be up in these areas. I don't think we'll be at 173. I do like this, again, for like the end of the year, end of the move kind of thing. I do think that we'll be around there. And then we'll probably consolidate. And then moving up into April, we'll probably see prices around that 173, 200K area. And then we'll see a longer phase of consolidation. And then we'll rally up. We'll probably pull back down to like 100K, 110K or something like that. And then we'll rally up to end the cycle up to the land of the promised $500,000. We'll see. Time will tell. But 98K right now. I gave you the short term, the intermediate term, the midterm, right? I hope that's good enough. If you guys like the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for watching. I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.